Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to this video about your real reason for anxiety and how to get past that. So, um, I work with a lot of one-to-one clients, and a lot of the themes that come up are similar. So I thought I was going to make a video about this or a masterclass to work through the anxiety that comes up when you're on your healing journey and when you're entering a new chapter. Because what happens is that we can feel, we can sense when something is going to change. And that can bring up a lot of anxiety because, the human doesn't really like change. At the same time, you can really, really desire that change. And it's something you really want. But at the same time, it's also scary. And I want to work and work with the parts that are scared and talk about these parts that are scared. Because there are two truths here when it comes to anxiety and when it comes to working towards your dreams and with your dreams and moving forward with your life and moving towards the life that you really, really want. So you're probably in this situation. So if you're in this situation, you're perfectly right for this video and you're going to get something out of this regardless. But if you're in this situation, this is just the video for you. So you've been working on yourself. You have some goals and dreams that you are working towards, and you've made some progress, but there's also so much anxiety that's coming up. And at the same time, you also feel a little bit stuck. You're like, okay, I can see the progress, but at the same time, I'm still somehow not getting there. There are two reasons here. First, what I want to say is that the way your life is right now, even if you don't like it, even if you hate it, even if you're disappointed and feel like this is not a good place to be, I have to share a harsh truth with you, which is your life is the way it is because you want it this way. And I'm not saying you want it consciously. I do believe that you want better for yourself. I do believe that you want to have this dream in your reality. I 100% I get that. And I know that you want that. Now, the thing is, a lot of our processes are happening subconsciously. And subconsciously, we're blocking some of the things that we really want because we want them so much and because it might be scary, because it might require an identity shift. It might require us to do things differently. It might require us to be seen, to show ourselves, to show up differently, to do things differently, to let certain things go. So the first truth you need to understand is that you create your life, and the life you have right now is the way it is because somehow when all of your parts come together and have a discussion about how your life should look like right now so that every part of you feels okay is the way it is because all of these parts have a say in it, and that's just the way it is. So when you feel blocked in regards of something you want, there is a hidden part of your subconscious part of you that is okay, that actually gets something out of the way you're living your life right now, even if you don't like it, even if you're like, but I want to be there, I want to be doing this, I want to, why isn't it happening? The truth is you're the creator of your reality, and I know you know that. So if your reality isn't quite what you want to see yet, it's because a part of you or several parts of you are not on board with that because they don't feel safe enough, and they actually get something out of how your life is right now. Usually they get safety, they get protection, they get a sense of security out of whatever you're doing that isn't what you really want to do, but you're still doing it, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, but at the same time, I'm not doing what is needed because I feel blocked. And that feeling blocked is a part of you that is actually quite comfortable and happy that things are the way they are because it doesn't feel safe to be seen. It doesn't feel safe to come out. So this part is still getting something out of that reality that you have already outgrown. You don't want to see this anymore. But if you're still seeing it, and that's the point, if you're still seeing it, it's because a part or several parts of you are still getting something out of this current situation. And usually it's fear, right? It's something that we are deeply afraid of and we are not necessarily aware of it. So what we can do is do some detective work around what that part might be and why it feels that this is the only way to be safe. So where is the conflict within you? Because I truly believe that you want different. I know that you want different. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But you have to understand that you create this with all of you, all of you. And if there is a part of you that doesn't feel safe to make this change, it will block it. Because again, it still gets something out of the current situation. Once this part feels safe and it's neutralized and healed, it will no longer feel the need to block and you can move forward. And that's also where the anxiety starts coming in, right? Because let me give you an example. Anxiety, or not an example, like let me give you an explanation what anxiety really is. Anxiety is just, as I already said, this feeling of knowing that change is on the horizon and at the same time knowing that you're not quite ready for it. So there's a conflict here. It's the new is already here. And there is a part of you that's like, but I'm not ready for it. And these two things, they start conflicting each other. And these things are subconscious. We are not aware of it. But so that's why these are two indicators. If you feel like you're stuck, even though you want to move forward and you have a lot of anxiety, let me first of all tell you, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. It's just about finding out which parts are not feeling safe to move forward, what they're getting out of the current situation, and what they need in order to feel safe so that you can move forward. And the second thing why you're on the right path is because anxiety only shows up when things are close. And let me give you like an example to outline this a little bit. When you think about doing whatever you want to do that you're still scared of, or doing something that you've never done, and you're thinking, I'm going to do it a year from now. How does that feel? You feel safer already, right? It's like, that's why we future predict. That's why we push things into the future, because they're far away. They're literally far away from us. So it's not real yet. It hasn't become a possibility. It hasn't become a tangible reality. So that feels safe. That part of you that doesn't feel safe to move towards this new beginning feels like the new beginning is so far away. I'll be fine. It's not here yet, so I can chill. However, when this new beginning is close, these parts that aren't feeling ready, they start freaking out because it is so close, because there is no more distance in between, right? You're so close to what you want to get to that the anxiety starts become overwhelming, because these parts understand that shit, now it's becoming a reality. Now it's becoming fucking real. It's not just a dream anymore. And that's when the anxiety starts kicking in, because these parts are like, oh shit, they're going into panic mode because, oh, I know that I could do these and these little steps and then I would be there. But what does that mean? I have to expose myself. I have to change. I have to change a habit. I have to leave a safe place behind, which could be family or friends or, something like that. And so I think that's a very mind-opening concept to understand, that anxiety is nothing else than a signal that what you want is really close, and that there is actually no more avoiding it, no more escaping it. I mean, you can still do it, and that's why you keep having anxiety, because you keep having this fear of moving towards what you want and overcoming this fear. But let me give you another example. Think about people who say they want to run a business. When you start thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I could do that. Oh, that would be great. Wouldn't it be great to run a business? You don't have anxiety. It's not like, oh shit, and I will have to do my marketing. I will have to do my sales. I will have to show up. I will have to speak in front of camera. I will have to speak in front of people. I will have to show myself. I will have to be authentic. All the things, they're still far away. So it's like easy, because there's so much distance in between. It's easy to think, yeah, I could do that, because it's not a reality yet. It's just a dream, not saying that it can never become a reality. I'm trying to explain why anxiety is a sign that what you want is actually really close, and why When it's not that close, you don't have anxiety because, again, it's not a reality. These parts, they're like, yeah, she's just talking about it. There's like, I can see that we would have to do a lot of steps before I get activated, right? That fear is still very deep in the subconscious. It hasn't really shown up yet. So it feels safe because there is nothing really going on yet. It's just up here. It's just an idea. But when it comes into action steps, then it's closer. And then these parts get triggered because they understand, oh shit, now I can no longer hide. And again, this is so subconscious that our job is to find out what these parts are afraid of, because it's usually an inner child part, okay? It's just your inner child that has experienced usually abandonment, betrayal, a lack of love, a lack of support, a lack of approval. It has been invalidated. And all these things start flaring up when you have to stand up for yourself, when you have to show up for your dream. As long as you don't have to show up, it's safe. But as soon as you have to show up and overcome these patterns that aren't serving you, then it becomes tangible and real. And that's when the anxiety starts kicking in. And now, again, to find these parts, because you might be sitting here and be like, yeah, well, great. Now I know why I have anxiety. Cool. I know it's close, but I still don't know how to get over it. To get over it, and I don't want to say this in a derogative way, it's about working with these parts with a lot of love and compassion and understanding and softness. It's not about bullying a part of you into doing something it doesn't feel comfortable with. It's about finding healing within that part so that it can feel safe no matter what you do. And that's the inner child healing work that we have to do in order to get to our dream life. And now I want you to, in order to find one of these parts today, and you can do this again when you have healed and you still find another part, or you still find like things aren't moving into the direction that you want, you can repeat this, right? So think about what you're working towards. What are you working towards? I'm sure everyone has something they're working towards, and it can be a small thing. It doesn't have to be, I want to be an entrepreneur, blah, blah. Maybe it's about being more open. Maybe it's about being outgoing again. Maybe it's about starting to date again, or maybe it's about entering a relationship, whatever it is. What do you want, and where are you right now? And now, in order to get to from where you are to where you want to go, who would you have to disappoint? Who comes to your mind when you think about, oh, if I do that, if I actually go move forward and do this, who is going to be disappointed in me? Who is actually going to be upset about it? Maybe not even disappointed, upset, angry, whatever. Who are you triggering? Who is going to not like what you're doing? And it's usually a family member or friends or a partner, someone that's close to us that is mirroring that energy back to us. Okay. So we are afraid. These parts that are hidden and subconscious that like the way things are, even though they're not good, maybe, or not good enough, or they're not how we want them to be. Let's say you're in an unhappy relationship and you know that and you want to move forward, but you somehow can't get out of it, right? Ask yourself, which part of me is still getting something out of this? Who would I have to disappoint if I moved forward? And that's when you find out who or which energy you're still loyal to over yourself. Because it comes to loyalty. There are parts of you that are still loyal to an older version of yourself, to an older energy. And when we come back to the inner child, it could be that a part of you is still loyal to your father, or a part of you is still loyal to your mother. And knowing that now you actually leave behind what they never could. they never manage to get out of this toxic relationship they're in themselves, right? Or they never manage to have their own business, have their own freedom, all of these things. We, or these parts of us, they are loyal to what they've known, right? It's because they've never known anything else. They haven't known your inner child part that is loyal, that's keeping things in place, doesn't know anything else. So it will stay loyal to whatever it has known because it doesn't want to lose that approval and that love, even though it might not be healthy. It's just how this works on a psychological level, because we're afraid of disappointing others and we're afraid of losing the love that we get from them. Even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a little bit of approval, it's better than nothing, right? So if you were to move out of this toxic relationship, your mother might be triggered because she never did move out. Or your father will be triggered if you suddenly earn more than him, right? And you will know who it is because it's the first person that comes to your mind that you're like, oh shit, that is really uncomfortable. It will be really uncomfortable to face this situation and this person. So that's usually the one that we're still loyal to. And I also want to add, it's not necessarily the person, it's the energy that's connected to this person, because the person can change. You might think, well, I cannot disappoint my partner, but underneath that, you are afraid of this. Your inner child is afraid of disappointing her father or his father. And why is that? It's just because as a child, you're dependent on your parents for survival, for love, for attention, for care. And if you do something that they don't like, the way we've been brought up is that love is going to be withdrawn, or care is going to be withdrawn, or you're going to be punished, right? And these parts of us, they're like, yeah, I don't want to repeat that. I don't want to lose loyalty because I know exactly if I behave in a certain way, I have their loyalty, I have their approval, I have their love, and I'm safe. That's what it comes down to. But these things are outdated. These are programs from your childhood. These are survival programs from your childhood. This is the way you had to act in order to survive. But if you don't clear them, they're still running subconsciously. And then you might be 20 years later, you're trying to get a business off ground. You're trying to get into a better partnership. You're trying to have better relationships and friendships. But there is still an inner child part that is like, but if I do that, I lose something here. And if this doesn't pay off, I will have nothing. So I'd rather stay loyal to what I have, even if it's just breadcrumbs, even if it's just a little bit, than risking moving forward into the unknown, into not knowing if this is going to pay out. And then I have disappointed these people and I won't be able to go back. So that's the dilemma that you're facing subconsciously when things are stuck. But the good news is that we can work around that. We can really, truly work around that because, again, it's about safety and healing of these parts. It's about healing the inner child to let her or him know that she or he is safe and loved in any case. Whether these guys are disappointed or this thing doesn't work out, she or he is still loved, appreciated, and cared for. And that's your job as a human. As the grown-up humans, it's your job to take care of that inner child part or whatever part that shows up. It can also be the inner feminine, the inner teenager, the inner masculine. There are a lot of archetypes, but I don't want to box this in. If you tune into yourself, it doesn't even matter. You don't need a label for it. You just need to know the feeling and where it originated. And then you work with that and around that. And you work around healing that, so that this part no longer has to create a situation that you don't like in order to feel safe. Because once this part feels safe, the need to recreate the situation or keep a situation in place will fall away. Then this part is like, great, I'm on board, let's go. I don't have to have this toxic relationship anymore. We can move out because now I feel safe enough to do so. And that's the inner work. That's a lot of work, but again, talking about the anxiety, if you already feel anxiety, that's a good sign in the sense that it means the new is already here. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel the pressure because it would be so far away. If things are far away, we don't feel anxiety. If you think about, I have to do this tomorrow, you start freaking out. If you think about it more long term, if you think, oh, I'm going to do it at one point in the future, or a year from now, or 10 years from now, it's like, right? There's calmness, there's relaxation immediately, just because it's not an immediate scenario. So it's safe to move forward in the sense that the new is already been created for you. And it's just about letting go of the old, healing the old stories, healing the old patterns. And when I say stories, I don't mean this in a derogative way. I don't mean that you're making something up, because I know in the coaching industry, this is something that I personally have struggled with, when people are like, yeah, it's just a story. No, it's not just a story. It's something you have experienced, and there are emotions around it. There is an experience around it that was painful and hurtful and has traumatized you potentially. And that's why it's so important to be compassionate and loving, and not push these parts away, not bully them into being okay with it. Let's just do it. Don't be such a pussy. Don't be all these things. No, you're just going to make it even worse. This part is not going to say, okay, just because you bullied me into doing it, I'm going to be on board with you and support you now. You want to have all of these parts on board to move forward with you. Otherwise, there's always going to be something that comes up out of nowhere, sabotaging you. That's the self-sabotage. But it's just, self-sabotage is basically only a protective mechanism of a part of you that doesn't feel safe. Okay, I feel like I've talked about this enough. So again, to recap a little bit what we spoke about, anxiety is a sign that what you want is really close, that it's there for you. That's why you feel anxious, because it's like the energy is already here. It's already built momentum. You've already put a lot of thought and potentially work into it, and now it's about stepping into it. And what happens is, when we're unable to step into it, when we're feeling like our environment isn't changing, our reality isn't changing, it's because a part or several parts are still getting something out of the current situation that's somehow tied to fear or a bad experience, or both. And it's usually rooted in childhood. It's usually connected to family members or people that are close to us, that we are still loyal to, even though they might not deserve it. Because if this person is loyal to you back in an unconditional way, you wouldn't feel blocked. You know, that part of you knows that once you kind of give up that loyalty, they will abandon you. They will not like you anymore. They will reject you, at least temporarily, until you have established your new identity and you've landed in your new reality, and then things can change again, because they have to. Energy has to adapt to your internal state. But up until then, this part of you knows that it will lose something, and it's just not sure if it's worth losing what you have for where you're going. But you know, deep in your heart, you know that it's worth it. Otherwise, you wouldn't want it. And you know it will be better. And you know it will make you happier, because you can see it, you can sense it, you feel into it. And the mere fact that you want it from your heart, that it's a desire, if you've been working towards it, that already says that it's worthwhile. But these are the stages that we face when we're doing this transformational inner work. And that's why this inner child work and this parts work is so important, because these are the subconscious patterns and programs and experiences that are still running in the background, and we're not aware of. And you just have to, your only job is to become aware of it, become aware of these parts, and bring love, understanding, and compassion to them. And then they no longer have to sabotage or try to keep something in place that isn't serving you. Yeah. So that's the video for today. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you need more support. Let me know if it's easy for you to trace back to these parts and trace back who they're connected to, or if that's a challenge, because there are some things we can do around that. Okay. Thanks so much for being here, and I wish you all the best. You're doing great. Keep believing in yourself. Keep believing in your dream. Know that it's possible. Know that everything that's between where you are and where you want to be is just for your own growth, because where you want to go might require for you to be a different person, not a completely different person, but you have to let go of some fears, of some habits, of some behaviors, of some thought patterns of the past, of some people. And all these things, these steps in between, they're just here to support you in doing that. Because once you are where you want to be, you're going to look back and be like, wow, this really made me the person I am today. And that's what we came here for in the end. We're souls having a human experience, and we're learning our soul lessons through these experiences and through these challenges. Not to say that we always have to face challenges, but some come with the soul plan, and we're here to overcome them. Okay. Sending you so much love. See and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.